The book of Genesis is the book of beginnings. It is the very first chapter in the grand story that God is telling. This is where we learn about the start of our world, the beginning of humanity, and the origin of God's great plan for us. Genesis is more than just a collection of ancient stories. It is the foundation upon which all of God's promises are built. It introduces us to a God who is powerful, creative, and deeply personal. He speaks, and entire galaxies burst into existence. He forms humanity with his own hands and breathes life into us. This book sets the stage for everything that follows in the Bible, revealing God's glorious nature and his unending faithfulness from the very first page. In this journey through Genesis, we will explore the start of God's covenant story. A covenant is a special, binding promise. It is God's way of establishing a relationship with his people based on his faithful word. We want to see the glory of God revealed in his actions. We want to understand his deep and abiding faithfulness toward humanity, even when we fail. We will look at these foundational events not as disconnected tales, but as part of a single unfolding plan. We begin with the creation mandate, then the Noahic promise. The most significant of these is the Abrahamic covenant. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. God lays the groundwork for his rescue plan for all people. It is seen in the awesome power of creation. It is seen in his perfect justice, in his tender mercy, and most of all, it is seen in his covenant love, a love that makes promises and keeps them, generation after generation. Prepare to see the book of Genesis as the start of a beautiful and trustworthy blueprint for redemption. We will start where it all begins, with the breathtaking account of creation and the tragic story of the fall. Yet even in this moment of brokenness, we will find the first whisper of a promise, a hint of a future Redeemer. From there, our path will take us to the time of the Great Flood and the story of Noah. This section will focus on the Noahic covenant. The rainbow in the clouds becomes a permanent sign of his promise-keeping nature. Next, we will arrive at a pivotal moment, the call of Abraham. Abraham, the father of faith. Isaac, the son of promise. Jacob, whose name is changed to Israel. Finally, our journey through Genesis will conclude with the dramatic story of Joseph. His story is a powerful testament to God's providence and his ability to turn evil into good. Genesis ends not in the promised land, but in Egypt, with the family of Israel preserved and ready for the next chapter. The story of Genesis opens not with a struggle, but with the calm, powerful voice of God. He spoke, and light shattered the darkness. He spoke again, and waters separated from the sky. His power is not forceful or violent. It is creative and orderly. He brings beauty, structure, life into being simply by the authority of his word. The pinnacle of this creative work is the making of humanity. On the sixth day, God says something unique. Let us make mankind, in our image, in our likeness. We are given the capacity for reason, relationship, creativity, moral choice. Along with this special status, God gave humanity a task, the creation mandate, to care for God's world as his representatives. After creating humanity, the verdict: he saw all that he had made, and it was very good. The world was exactly as its wise and powerful creator intended it to be. After establishing the cosmos, God zoomed in on a specific place, the Garden of Eden, a sanctuary where heaven and earth met. In the center of this perfect garden, God placed two specific trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God told Adam, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die." The book of Genesis introduces a new voice in the garden, the serpent. He approached Eve.
But with a subtle questioning doubt, did God really say, Genesis 3, verse 1, "You will not certainly die"?
She took some and ate it. Then she gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it. In that simple act of disobedience, the world changed forever. Their eyes were opened, and they realized they were naked. shame, fear, guilt. They heard him walking in the garden, and they hid themselves in fear. When God confronted Adam, he blamed the woman. Eve, in turn, blamed the serpent. The perfect unity of Eden was gone, replaced by a cycle of blame, accusation, and division. This single act of rebellion sent ripples through all of creation, ushering in the sin and suffering that now mark our world. They were expelled from the garden, barred from the tree of life. These consequences were severe, showing God's holiness and the seriousness of sin. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. Theologians call this the proto-evangelium, the first gospel, the very first glimmer of hope. Before sending them out, the Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. God provided a better covering, one that required the shedding of blood. This foreshadowed a greater covering for sin. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. God instructed him to build a massive vessel, an ark. Noah's response was simple obedience. He did everything just as God commanded him. The purpose of the ark was to preserve life, two of every kind of living creature. Then, the Lord shut him in. For 40 days and 40 nights, rain fell. The fountains of the great deep burst forth. Every living thing on the face of the earth perished. But God remembered Noah. After many months, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. It returned in the evening with a freshly plucked olive leaf in its beak. This was the sign Noah had been waiting for. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. I will remember my covenant. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. God focuses his attention on one man, Abram. God commands him, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household, to the land I will show you." He tells Abram his descendants will be as numerous as the stars in the sky. Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. First, land. Second, offspring. Third, blessing. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. God miraculously fulfilled his word. They had a son. They named him Isaac. He laughs. Years later, God tested Abraham's faith. "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac. Sacrifice him there." At the last moment, as Abraham raised the knife, the angel of the Lord called out and stopped him. God had provided a substitute, a ram caught in a nearby thicket. The place was named Yahweh Yireh, the Lord will provide. Fleeing his angry brother, he dreams of a stairway from earth to heaven. God renews the covenant. "I am with you. I will not leave you." A mysterious man wrestles with him until daybreak. Jacob refuses to let go until blessed. His hip is wrenched. The man renames him Israel. He struggles with God. He had wrestled with God and prevailed, not by strength, but by clinging in desperate faith. Joseph was his father's favorite, which fueled intense jealousy. They sold their 17-year-old brother into slavery. Yet the narrative repeatedly states, the Lord was with Joseph. Joseph was summoned from the dungeon. He explained Pharaoh's dreams foretold 7 years of great abundance, followed by 7 years of devastating famine. Because of his God-given wisdom, Joseph was elevated to the second most powerful position in Egypt. The famine forced Joseph's brothers to travel to Egypt. They arrived and bowed down before him. He told his terrified brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Joseph's story is the ultimate testament to God's sovereign faithfulness. He preserved the covenant family, turning the greatest evil into the means of salvation. Genesis is not a collection of disconnected stories. It is the unified, foundational account of God's faithful work to establish a people for His name, a proactive purpose woven into the fabric of history from the very beginning. The God who was faithful then will be faithful now and forever. Genesis shows us our glorious and faithful God, who began a good work and who can be trusted to bring it to completion. This is the good news that began in Genesis and echoes through all of eternity.